Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Or if it's your first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Marlene and I talk about everything related to eating disorder recovery and healing the relationship with your own body, with food and with movement. And let's dive right into the topic as we always do. And I mentioned it before, today we're going to talk about fading effect bias and why they are so important for eating disorder recovery. Fading effect bias describes a psychological phenomenon in which negative emotions are perceived less intensely and vividly over time, which basically means if you had a period in your life which was really bad for you, where you really suffered, after a couple of months or years, you might look back and be like, oh, that wasn't actually that bad. And this is due to fading effect bias. Let me explain to you first why that is. We all have an emotional memory, and negative emotions lose their emotional memory faster than positive emotions, which basically means you will not remember negative emotions as good as positive emotions. So again, when you look back at a time that was kind of hard for you, let's talk about high school. For a lot of people, high school is really challenging. And there might have been days or even the whole time where you didn't want to go and where going to high school is really, really hard for you. Looking back at it after a couple of years might feel like, oh, but I had all those great emotions, I had all those good experiences. So you basically remember bad experiences or unpleasant emotions less strong than positive emotions. The reason why our brain is doing that is because negative emotions need a lot of energy. So the brain rather would not remember the negative emotions and kind of protect you and also save some energy for the positive emotions. You might have heard of dissociation in people who have trauma or even struggle with PTSD. So this is something that goes along and it's actually affected by the same areas in the brain. So dissociation is also there to basically save the person. The body and the brain always want to do what's best for you, even though sometimes it might not be the best. But like evolutionary speaking, they want to protect you. So if you dissociate, or also if you don't remember negative emotions and hard situations as much, it is kind of like for your mental protection. So it is basically a mechanism of emotional adaptation that helps you, or is supposed to help you, to cope better with stress and negative experiences. When we look at fading effect bias and eating disorders, oftentimes in eating disorder recovery, I hear something from my clients like, oh, my eating disorder wasn't actually that bad. Or sometimes it's like, I didn't suffer that bad, it wasn't that hard, so I could easily go back. And going back kind of seems like, a good idea because it wasn't that hard and wasn't that bad. This is fading effect bias speaking, because there is a reason why you watch these videos. There is a reason why you chose recovery already, or why you're thinking about choosing recovery. And that is because eating disorder are hard. We always have to connect the pain to the eating disorder first in order to make a step forward. So once you realize how much pain your eating disorder caused, this is the first step. And then looking back at your eating disorder, remind yourself about why you chose recovery in the first place. And also be aware that fading effect bias play a big role and that your eating disorder was in fact way worse than you might remember now. By the way, this is also something that a lot of people with substance abuse or substance addiction struggle with. They look back at their times when their addiction was active and they're like, oh, it wasn't even that bad. I did have some great times when I was still drinking or doing another substance. So this is why it is so important to be aware about fading effect bias. And I really wish more therapists would talk about that, because whenever I said something like, oh, my active eating disorder wasn't that bad, or I could easily go back, nobody really understood and nobody really explained to me why I had those feelings. But when I learned about fading effect bias and how my brain is kind of tricking me, I was more aware of the fact that going back is actually not the best idea. So whenever you have the urge to go back, whenever your brain is tricking you into, my eating disorder wasn't that bad, or my eating disorder was actually good, because I had those thoughts. When I was in recovery, I kind of missed my eating disorder. I kind of missed all the habits and the highs it gave me. But I seemed to have forgotten about the negative stuff. And trust me, there was way more negative stuff than positive stuff that my eating disorder brought me. So again, be aware of fading effect bias, be aware of the way your brain is trying to trick you, and please stick with recovery. I know I said it 100 times, but I will still say it again. Eating disorder recovery is possible for everyone, and it will happen if you stick to it. The only reason why eating disorder recovery will not happen is because you choose to go back. And I'm not talking about like relapses or little slips. That happens and it is okay. That doesn't mean that you won't recover. But you have to make the active decision to recover every single day. Motivation comes and goes. commitment has to stay. So when I was in eating disorder recovery, I was aware that I couldn't rely on my motivation, but I made a commitment to myself. I actually wrote it down. I kind of made a contract with myself that said that I had to stick with recovery. I really hope this video helped you guys. If so, please leave a comment, leave a like, maybe subscribe to my channel or share this video with someone else who might benefit from it. And let me know what you think about this video, but also if you want any other topics to be covered. And I will see you guys in the next one.